Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today, we're discussing a lovely 40mm platinum FP Journe Quantieme Perpetuel. This is part of the series that launched in 2013, though it has the post-2020 dial without the steel dial bezel. Also, it features the blue galvanized sterling silver dial variant that is no longer offered, so there is a lot to love right here. It is platinum, and it's got a precious metal dial, case, and movement, so despite being 40mm, it's quite weighty and substantial. It's also not thick at all. You'll find this is an easy watch to live with. In profile, 11.1mm thick and 48.5 lug-to-lug with a 20mm spacing between the lugs. Now, the timepiece wears well on my 16cm circumference wrist. I find that with Journe, it's going to be the 40s, the 38s, and the rare 36s that fit best. So the 42 is a bit too big for me. But you can see here that these lugs are well on board the edge of my 16cm circumference wrist, even over the top, pulling the strap tight from an angle that exaggerates the width of the watch. You could still see the lugs are not anywhere near the edge of my wrist. So let's say 14cm circumference wrists and up could wear this well. Domed bezel, flat profile, it'll easily slide under a dress cuff. High-grade strap. You can see medium blue, semi-gloss, large symmetrical rectangular scale alligator leather, and small round scale on the bottom. Super high quality strap, gator on both sides. First of all, this is a very expensive cut by itself, but gator on both sides indicates a more expensive strap that will last longer. No crimping, no gouging, brand new strap. Taking a closer look, we have a folded edge, we have a monotone stitch, and the lugs are drilled close to the case, so Journe uses curved spring bars, so there's no impediment to the motion of the strap. It doesn't get crimped against the case flank. It will pull straight down out of the lugs on a small wrist. And we have pull tab spring bars, so you can pop that out with just your fingernail. No need for tools, easy for cleaning between the lugs or for swapping straps. And we have Journe's distinctive simple platinum pin buckle included. We have a mid-case that's sort of defined by the overlapping flange of the bezel and the case back, as it's always been with Journe dress watches. The lugs are blended in Calatrava style. You can see they turn almost 90 degrees from the horizontal to case sweep. Domed case back, domed bezel, and then probably the world's most recognizable unbranded crown. 2 dimples and knurling. Taking a look at the dial, lots to love. We have a sort of clou de Paris center, and that is a nice cut. Clou de Paris is a handsome look in a sort of, I don't know, let's say football or kidney-shaped center dial that's less pronounced now that it lacks the dial bezel than on the previous cladded version of the dial. I like this a whole lot better. It breathes better. We still have white gold, individual hands, indices, and calendar frames. Power reserve indicator, it says 120, though that's the chronometric power reserve, the time frame during which it will keep the best time. It will actually run for 160 hours before it actually stops. We have a chemin de fer, or railroad track outboard, for reading the minutes. You can see Journe has a distinctive font used for the numerals and also a distinctive shape for the hands. Also note that the numerals themselves ebb and flow in size as they move around the obstructions of the dial. It's a nice, well-balanced dial. And in an uncommon move, Journe decided to simply forego a moon phase on his perpetual calendar, which I like because it allows the calendar itself to be bigger and easier to read. Now look at the attention to detail here. You can see how the frame for the calendars, they are polished externally, but then there's a sort of media blast inside the apertures, and I really like that. Double-digit date, or a grande date, and we have a double quick-set system that allows you to either independently set the day or set both the date and the day. Perpetual calendar, so you only need to set it once in the year 2100, which will not be a leap year. Everything else, irregular length months, leap years, you're good to go. I should mention that the watch has a hidden setting mechanism. So Journe wanted to be able to set the watch without requiring that you use any tools, because he's a smart man. He understands that you're going to lose that tool, and then you're going to try to set it with the tip of a pen, which is steel or tungsten, and you're going to damage the watch. So everything can be done with fingers here. You've got the crown for the day and the date, and then you've got this little jumper that cycles through the months, and then those months in turn drive a little stub hand, which we'll find right there, coaxial with the main hands, and that stub hand indicates which phase of the 4-year leap year cycle you're in. Hint, Summer Olympics year, that is the red 4, that is the leap year. Now, also important here, this calendar doesn't have a danger zone. So if you're worried about breaking it, if you set it after 8 p.m. or before 4 a.m. or something like that, Journe designed it so that you can't break it. So it does have safeguards, which is why there is no day-night indicator or AM/PM warning on this dial. 30 meters water resistant, so splash and rain exposure. I wouldn't take it swimming. The movement made of solid gold is the latest version of the caliber 1300, the 1303. So there have been some changes, the most notable of which the move to solid gold bridges and plates in 2004, and then later on around 2007, the use of a unidirectional winding system that's a bit more efficient to wind that enormous meter-long single mainspring. Journe also tuned this mainspring so that it creates a relatively isochronous timing throughout a flat and level torque plateau for most of that 120-hour chronometric power reserve. 5-position adjusted, which is the high horology and chronometer standard, so it's used here. We have a massive balance that's used to make up for the lack of a high beat rate. It's a 3 hertz beat rate, but it is a, I want to say, 10.10 milligram per centimeter squared torque or inertia, which is very high. This is a big balance. If you're used to looking at balance wheels, you can see just with the eye that this is big. It's also free sprung, so it's more shock resistant, but then it's also easier to adjust precisely using those variable inertia screws on the balance. It's a big movement too. At 33 millimeters, it properly fills these larger cases, and these are not rose gold gilded bridges and plates. They're actually solid gold. They're 18 karat. The rotor with a lovely grand orge or barleycorn cut is 22 karat gold. Journe bevels are getting better, and you can see that they're more mirrored than they've ever been. We have circular Côte de Genève, mirror polished screws, engine turning on the base plate. All in all, a very good looking movement with a lot to its technical credit. Just about the only feature it does not have is going to be hacking seconds, but then again, you look at the dial and there is no seconds hand, so that's not as big of a loss. Maker's mark on the case, important to note. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.